Hey, welcome back. Good to see you again. Thanks for joining. I hope you're all well. And look what I got. First up for 2022 is this gorgeous HK560 receiver. This is a client of mine. He brought it to me with a bunch of other stuff, and we're going to go through this. He said, I can't really remember what the story was, but he said he bought it off somebody. I don't know if it was a local purchase or eBay purchase, I can't remember, but he was assured it, oh yeah, it's working, oh yeah, everything works great. And then when he got it, he tested it, it had no audio, no sound. So we're going to go through and see what we can do for this thing. It's really nice shape. It's not damaged really in any way. There's a couple bends here and here. I don't know what that's all about, but it's pretty dirty. Knobs are pretty grimy, so we'll deal with all that. But let's hook it up and see what we can get out of this thing, if we can get any squeaks or grunts. Alrighty, I'm all wired in, so let's turn the power on. Got it on FM right now. There's a muting. Oh, speakers. Speaker 1 would help. Got no indication here of. I get a little bit of sound when I click the speaker switch. A little bit of a tiny thump in the left speaker. Let's measure, let's turn on speakers 2 and let's measure for voltage. I'm not hearing anything so far. Come on. Here, let's do this. Alright. So left channel, I'm getting about 77 millivolts. 76. It's dropping. In the right channel, '95, '94, and '93, and it's dropping as well. So whatever's going on there is a little bit out of balance, but it seems to be correcting itself as it warms up. But we still have no audio. Okay. Turn off tape loops. Oh, hang on, we do have audio. On AM.
And 45% of Republicans agree.
No left channel.
Those involved were actually protecting.
You know what it might be? It might be these circuit breakers have oxidized. Looks like we got a dirty switch. It's coming through on the left, but it's very, very dim. I think we got a bad connection somewhere. Right channel.
We'll do it with a smile.
Sounds okay. Let's try it back on FM.
The province will mitigate the economic damage by the new restriction. He says
this meter is all messed up too. It seems like it's pegged reverse back to below 0, but then when I tune it, it kind of twitches a bit, but it doesn't come up. I hope it's not damaged beyond repair. I can see the needle twitching when it hits a signal. but it just doesn't climb up the scale. Okay, so what is going on with... Let's try the left channel again. We just got dirty switches. Something in the tone circuit here.
Arcades are up. Elizabeth Avenue. Left, and we've got construction eastbound on the Yellowhead between 156th Street and 149th Street.
Yeah, we got messed up switches. Okay, seems like it's working. The amplifier is good. We just got to go through and do a lot of cleaning and yeah, a lot of cleaning. Everything else seems nice. Okay, let's have a look inside. So judging from the cover screws and the bottom screws, it looks like somebody's been in here a few hundred times, but I'm not really seeing anything that's been worked on. It's possible that they just used a really dull screwdriver and it stripped the Phillips end of it, but you got to have a good screwdriver. But it looks like somebody's been in here. A lot of these screws are kind of, even these ones here and here, looks like somebody's had this all apart. I don't know what they were trying to accomplish, but maybe they looked at replacing bulbs. It's hard to say. It's just dirty back here where it was open to the elements, and here it looks all right. Everything looks original. I don't see anything other than just dirt. Everything looks original. I don't see anything that's been worked on or replaced. Let's have a look at the bottom. And let's see here. Yeah, it looks all untouched. Everything looks good. Maybe somebody's done some work here. It looks like, I don't know what's going on there. Don't know, unless they had it apart for some reason. I don't think they have. Tuner looks all untouched. There's some stuff going on around here by this function switch. Somebody might have had this function switch out. It looks like they desoldered it maybe, or tried resoldering it. I'm not sure. I can see a lot of the solder mask is scraped away here. Okay, well, I have an idea what I need to do here. It's just a matter of going after the pots and switches. And gluing some caps back on. I'll have to do some of that too. Yeah, they're all pretty tired. Okay, well, I'll get started on this. And wow, some of these are really... I'm gonna have a look at that meter too while I got it open. Okay, I guess first order of business is blow it to dust, and then I'll start checking caps. So I want to remove this dial face because it's got the meter attached, and I don't want this to get damaged at all. It's very delicate, and it looks like it's already been mangled and bent, so I'm going to have to look at that separately. But I just wanted to get this apart. So to remove the dial face, you have to unsolder the two connections on the back. You're going to mark them first as a brown and gray wire, and then there's 4 screws on top that hold the graticule in place, and you have to also remove the pointer, which is just open up these tangs and then the device falls apart. So Well, I don't know. I'll have to check this out too. I think this LED is dead. I didn't see this LED light up, so we're gonna have to look at that as well. So I'm still trying to get this bottom fascia off. I removed the 5 nuts. I removed 2 screws, and it's still stuck on here really tight. I don't know what is holding it. I think I might have some more hidden screws somewhere, or maybe there's some catches inside I might see. All right, well, get this cleaned up. I want to get this part off so I can attack the switches. There's going to be screws holding the switch bank in place, and I might have to remove this whole board to get at these potentiometers and these switches. So this might be a challenge and a half. Yeah, that went a little easier than I thought. There's 2 clips here, one here, and 2, they're just hooks, and you have to get your finger in here to release them, and then it pops out. And then there's a couple of LEDs with sockets. You gotta unplug the LEDs, it's just 2 of them, and then you can remove this piece. And it looks like it needs a good cleaning. It's just filthy. Alright, so we know we got full access to the switches, all switches, and potentiometers. So if I follow the trail of strip screws, it ends here at these 2, and all these other ones are untouched with that screwdriver. But this one has been, these 2 mounting screws for that switch bank. So to get the switch bank out, I think I'm going to remove the light assembly. And we got dowel cords in the way. So I removed these 2 screws, and I'm just going to feed this through so it doesn't get hung up. And then I'm just going to try and back this out without doing any more damage. It's hooked on here. Usually it hooks, yeah, right on the bottom here. And get this up and over this lip. There we go. And pull it back. Pull it back. Keep pulling it back. Okay, these 2 wires are holding, so I have to get the top out. This is sharp too, so you don't want to cut your dial string or anything like that weird. You just got to be very careful. Get some more length on these wires. There we go. I think we're getting it. I think we're getting it. Okay, so I can just kind of roll this out of the way, and then we got full access to this board. And this board has to come out to be serviced. It looks like somebody's been in here. Well, I don't know. Maybe not. It could be factory soldering. We're definitely going to need to clean all these switches. And these are even replaceable. I could even replace some of these if they're really bad. Kind of a unique thing they got going here is with these light shutters. Light comes from the light assembly from above, and then there's these shutters that get activated or deactivated depending on the switch position, and allows light to come through, and then it will shine through the button. No bulbs to burn out, no LEDs, nothing, but it's kind of a finicky device, and looks like it's prone to damage if you're not careful. But you can take it out. There's 2 screws here. You can take the whole assembly out if it needs cleaning. So I think I might just do that. Take that out of there, and then I'll get more room in here. Well, maybe I have enough room. I don't know. It's just going to be awkward working around these dial string, and so I'll just leave that alone maybe. Oh no, you know what? I'm going to have to remove it to get at these pots. Otherwise I'm going to need to take out the whole bottom board. So let's do that right now. Let's take this out. find it later. Wow. Yeah, you gotta really put pressure on these screws. Put too much pressure, you're gonna start bending metal. See, now this one's tight. And unplugged. There. Okay, out it comes. Little assembly. Make sure they're all free. They are. It's good. Put this aside. Okay, now I got the pots, access to the pots. And access to the pots and switches. Now I could go to town cleaning. All right, so I pulled the switch bank out, and it looks like this was the final destination for our mystery guest. They went and they cut the ends off of the switch here so that they could create a nice big access hole. I guess they were spraying contact cleaner in there. Now, these switches weren't lubricated with anything inside. When I opened one up, it was completely bone dry. So whatever they sprayed in there was flushing out all the lubricants. And it might have cleaned the switches, and it might have helped for a bit, but I'm sure without any lubricant, I bet the problem would come back pretty quick. So I was just going through and deoxing these switches, and what I'm also doing is, well, actually what I wanted to do was replace these switches, but I don't have any that fit this bar. So what I'm doing now is I'm giving them a deox treatment with the D5 spray. This stuff actually works pretty good for switches. I love it. So I was going through and I was confirming the contacts with an ohm meter, and I was going through and checking to make sure that they had low resistance, and if they didn't, I would give it another shot of deox it and keep working it. But I have contact resistance of about 10-11 milliohms on all of these, and then I got to this switch and I couldn't get it to work properly, and gave it another treatment of deoxit, and it still wouldn't work. So I pulled it apart, and I'll show you what I found here. Let me zoom in. So this is how it was when I pulled it apart. I pulled out the plunger, and you can see the contacts inside were all mangled. Somebody, when they previously assembled this switch, they didn't make sure that the contacts were lined up, and then they just jammed it together, and it bent the fingers here. And that's what the switch is not making contact on this side anymore. So what I can do is I can pull apart one of these other switches. I got some of these switches these are left over from somewhere. I don't know where they came from, but they're just for parts. I can take this apart and I can pull it apart. If I take this apart properly, and then inside I'll have the good parts inside. I just rob parts from this one, and I'll reconstruct this one. But you got to be very, very careful when you're assembling these switches, because if you force them together, they'll bust. So let's try putting this. I got to put a spring on here first. I need a spring. Let me zoom out so you can see what's going on here. So I got my new contacts in there, and we're going to put it together again. And you slide it. It should be no resistance when you slide it back together. Okay, that's working. So I put together the latching mechanism. kind of tricky once you get it together. There we go. Okay, so I'll give this another treatment. Ah, don't come apart. Okay, I'll put this back in and it should be okay now. And once I bend the tabs over, the latch mechanism will stay in place. Now this, I think, was the switch that caused the problem when I first initially tested it. It seemed like one of the switches was really messed up. It was a loudness switch or which one it was, but it didn't. It should be okay now. That was the left channel that wasn't working. Okay, so I'm going to go through and I'm going to check all these again. And if any of them have any high contact resistance, I'm going to give it another treatment, deoxit. But I should be measuring about 10 or 11 milliohms on each of these contacts, and that means we're good. Just a little update of what I'm doing here. I'm going through and I'm reworking the tone amplifier right now. Since I got the switch block out of the way and removed, I got access to all the capacitors and everything underneath here. So what I'm doing is I'll remove a potentiometer, remove it, clean it, treat it, and then while it's out, I got access room to get in here and change some of these caps. I'm finding a few caps in the tone circuits are reading low values, like they're drying out. Overall, I'm checking all caps, and I'm not finding too many wrong, except these Masha Udi, or what do they call these? They're Panasonic. They're blue. These are the ones that famously leak all the time. I haven't found any leaking, but these are dropping in value. Like this 3.3 is measuring down around 2.5 or so. So I'm yanking them, putting new ones in. I'm also, while I'm in here and I got the access, I'm going to replace some of these transistors that are on my naughty list. There's two SC1344s. I replaced a couple up here. There's two more down here I need to replace. I think there's actually 4 more here. So I'm going to get those. Yeah, there's 4 more. And check these capacitors. Everything's good that way. And then when I'm done with the caps and transistors, I'll put the pot back in and then solder everything back up, and it's done. And then I can, once I'm done everything under here, I can put the switch block back in. The switch block's been treated and all the switches have been fixed and cleaned. So that's all ready to go. These switches have been cleaned. The switch has been cleaned, and then all that's left after is the volume pot. One thing I did is I disconnected the chassis. So you see the chassis is removed here. I removed the screws on the left hand side, and there's 2 on the front here from the left hand side, and this allows me to swing the front chassis out, and that gives me room in here to do this work. The reason I do the left side is because of the dial string. If I did the right side, it would pull and disconnect the dial string. So I do it on the left, and the dial string stays intact. I don't have to touch it. And I pull it away, and I got room to solder from behind, because there's really no room if the chassis is bolted in place. You have to remove it to get these solder joints. So yeah, it's flown away. It's flown around pretty good here. I'm just about done this, actually, and then I can start reassembly. I still have some transistors down here to do. I haven't really looked at them yet, but I can get in there with a flashlight. I can see what transistors they are, and if they need coming out, I'll yank them and replace them. But I still have access here, and a lot of these other transistors or capacitors have been testing good. I replaced 2 in the power amplifier. These are the input DC blocking caps. They tested poor. And then the amplifiers really don't have many capacitors in them. There's a little power supply down here in the bottom, but they all tested fine. Still haven't yanked the main filter caps yet. I still want to test these, see how they're holding out. and I think they're going to survive. This is a low hours unit, it looks like. Not too much going on here with regards to catastrophic damage or anything, but we're still finding little things here and there that need attention. I pulled out the main filter caps. Let's have a look at them here. We got 4 in total. They are 4700 microfarad at 50 volts, and they're 25 millimeter diameter. Not that that matters. Here's the first one. This one's coming back at 4600. It's pretty good. 27 milliohms. And the second one here, coming back at 4100, almost 4200, 24 milliohms. There's this third one, just over 4000, 26 milliohms. This one's pretty dried up. Last one, yeah, same thing. So we're replacing with 6800s at 50 volts, same physical height, and they're 5 millimeters less in diameter, so they'll fit right in there, no problem. Okay, now that I'm done the electronics, I'm just going to move on to some cosmetics here. It looks like this thing needs some help. These buttons are kind of grody. They have to be removed. I'm going to remove all of these buttons and put them in the ultrasonic. So it's going to remove the spring. Don't lose the spring. And then the button should pop out. There's a couple catches here. Where's my screwdriver? A couple of catches here. Just be very careful with these plastics because they could be really brittle. And we'll dump that in the ultrasonic and clean it up. And we'll do all these. And then once I'm done that, I can try straightening some of the front panel here. I'll show you in a bit what I mean. So I was looking at this, and the corners are kind of damaged here. It looks like somebody was prying on it or something. So I'm going to have to try straightening this. And this side is even worse. You can see that. So I'll try my best to straighten that out. That one's got some good gouges in it. This part here you won't see because it's under a knob. And then I'll just give it a cleaning. Okay, so I did a little bit of straightening. This side didn't turn out too bad. It's still noticeable. In this side, I don't know. Maybe I made it worse. But that's the problem with these Harman Kardons of this era, is they got this really thin aluminum sheet. It's almost like a foil. It's almost like tin foil, actually. It's very thin, and it takes any dent it takes immediately. And yeah, I'm not pleased with these ones. But I cleaned up nicely, and I got my buttons back from the ultrasonic. They are probably still wet. In case you're wondering what I use, yeah, they are holding water, so I'm going to have to let these dry out. The problem is that when I put them in, they started floating because they got air inside them, and then until you can get the air out, they won't sink to the bottom, and then they won't start getting cleaned. But in the ultrasonic cleaner, all I use is tap water, and I just let it run for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it takes until it comes clean. If it doesn't seem to be working, I'll dump the water out and add fresh water and put it on for another 20 minutes or so, and that's usually all it takes. These buttons turn out not too bad. They're a lot cleaner. It almost looked like somebody spilled pop or something all over the front of this thing. It had some kind of a brown icky stain on it. Coffee maybe, who knows. But I'll put these back in. Yeah, this one's still dirty. It's going to buff out. Put those back in. Knobs. Oh yeah, knobs. I need to do something with these knobs because they are falling apart. So here I got a knob, and all I use for knobs is hot glue. Scrape the old glue off, and let's see here. We might have to heat this up a bit. I'm just going to heat the aluminum up so it's not cold for the hot melt. So Because if it hits, hot melt hits the cold aluminum, then it freezes and it doesn't stick. So I'll just drop some down inside, like about that much. And these can be orientated anyway, so just put it in, shove it together. And that should hold it. And another one here. Scrape this old glue off. It just lets go. Dried up old glue. There we go. We got one more. If I can find it. It looks like they have another piece that's glued inside here yet. This was, somebody used hot glue on the inside one too. Okay. Just a little preheat, a little glue. And just shove it in. Perfect. Okay, I'll put this back together. What else did I want to mention about this? I just used glass cleaner for the front. It's yeah, just basic household glass cleaner. That's all I use. It's safe on the aluminum. It's safe on the silk screening. And you got to get a Q-tip in these holes, make sure that they're all clean, otherwise they could stick if there was something that was in there before. And just get little crevices, clean all these little crevices out, and then we're ready to put it back together. I think, let's just try one button here. So we get this water out. Quite a bit of water in there. It's not going to hurt anything. It's eventually going to evaporate. There's nothing that's going to go wrong. So this goes in like this. No, this goes like this. Need a spring. Perfect. All right, let's have a close look at this needle, or this kneader. It's kind of bent up, and it doesn't register on 0. It's down below 0. It should actually be up, probably right about here. I'm just wondering if the needle's bent or if it just needs an adjustment. But if you look at it this way, you can see it from here. The needle's bent like a banana. It should be straight. And there's some paint missing off of the needle itself. Looks like somebody maybe manipulated it and tried to bend it. So let's pull the cover off. If we can get the cover off. It looks like it's held in place by these 2 plastic rivets, and then there's a bracket behind it, and these plastic rivets go through the 3 layers, and then it's an expansion rivet. You push the end in and it expands this other end, and it can't pull back out. So you You can remove these. You pull off this cap, you pull it out, and that allows the rivet to collapse, and you can actually pull out the insert. But they glued it with that funky glue that sticks to everything, and then that's to lock it in place. So it's going to be kind of difficult. I have to dig all that glue out. I just want to take a look here. Maybe I can pull this cap off. I'm not sure what's holding it on. I just don't want to damage anything. That's the main thing. You can see it's definitely two pieces split. There's a split line here, here, and then it goes back. Okay, let's try. There we go. The glue's holding it, that's why. Okay, let's try this. So I'll take this off. There we go. Yeah, it's like snot. Okay, now I can see this, and I can actually tell that the needle's bent. It should be a 90-degree angle from the coil. If you see the coil back down here, and I can see there's a kink in the needle right about here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try, let me see how I can do this. I'm trying to do this without... That might have been it's a little better. It's actually a little straighter now. If I look on it from the end, from this way, I can see it still has a little bit of a kink in it right about here. So I'll try blocking it here and bending this. That's a little, it's improving. Let me see if I can get this some more. Yeah. So now the zero is the needle's registering over the zero a little better. Let me see that. It actually could go up a little bit more. Still looks like there is still a little bit of a bend in it. Let me straighten it some more. The needle's straight up to about this point here, and then it is bent this way. And keep this in frame. Let me try. Okay, let's do some more here. Better. It's better. I noticed the paint, that the fluorescent paint's flicking off. Yeah. You can see that the needle is shining through. I have to repaint this. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to bend it down. So let's put an anchor here. Oops. Let's put an anchor here. Bend it down. It's kind of springy. It's not cooperating. A little better. Yeah, I think I need to do this. There we go. It's a lot better now. I don't know if you can see that. Straighter. It's not bent like a banana anymore. But I flicked off a lot of paint. Now, is that going to be... The needle has to be absolutely straight, otherwise you're going to notice a crook in it. And I still have a little bend here, it looks like. Down here, right here. I'll try giving it a little more. That looks better. That's a lot better. Okay, now I need to find something to paint that thing with. Let's clean it off. Most of the paint's coming off. I will just... It's awfully loose. I'm wondering... Huh. So one thing I never did is I wanted to check this meter. I know it's working, just because I saw it twitching. Just let me check here. There we go. Is it 1200 ohms? That's probably like 100 microamp movement. So the 1 milliamp movement probably has about 100 ohm coil resistance. This has got 1200. It's 10 times, so it's probably 10 times more sensitive. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll mask this area so that we can, I'll find something to mask it with, a piece of paper I think, and I'll just tape it down and then we'll paint this needle. So what I think I'm going to do first is I'm just going to scrape off what's left of this paint because it's flaking and it's falling off, so I don't want it to compromise the new paint going on top. Let's give it a light scrape. And clean off all that old. I think that's not too bad right there. And another thing I want to do is I want to clean this before we go any further. So I'll just give it a good cleaning. Now this is going to be tricky. Get out of the way. One of the main things is you want to get the part where the mirror is to be smudge free, because you want it to look as clean as possible. You don't want to have fingerprints in here, and get rid of all the dust. So I think we're good. Let's give this a little inspection here. I think we're good. Okay. Let's mask this off. Now I got a choice of 3 colors. And I'm thinking this one here is going to be the most dramatic, and because that's what you want. You want the absolute highest contrast. But this one here, I don't know, it kind of looks translucent in a way. It's not really got a lot of filler in it. So let's try this. It might not even work. Let me zoom you in so you can see what I'm doing. So I might have to build this up in several coats. That's our first coat. Yeah, it's okay. I'm gonna leave that, let it dry, then I'll put another coat on, and we'll go probably, well, we'll keep putting coats on until it looks good. But it covered up all the metal, so I'll just leave this for now. It'll be dry in no time. It's a very small amount. Okay, so this is after 2 coats, so I think I'm gonna leave it there. It looks pretty good. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it looks pretty good in person. It's not... If you put too many coats on, it starts getting thick and bulbous, and then it starts to look bad. But I think that's okay right there. So now I'm going to have to clean this again. It's got some kind of a blotchiness on it. I don't know what that's from. Just let that sit out in the air for now. But that's a lot better, I think. Let's try fitting this back on. It's got some staining. Is that from UV light? I'll try cleaning this first. I don't think that staining is going to come out. That plastic is permanently stained from the UV. Okay. There we go. Still sitting low. I'll leave it at that. Okay, I'll let this sit for a while. I'm going to try cleaning this one more time. I don't know why it turned blotchy like that. I think maybe some of the glass cleaner absorbed into the paint. I don't think any of the paint's coming off. Could be oils too. I don't think I sprayed anything in the vicinity of this, so it shouldn't be oversprayed from anything. It's just some kind of, maybe it's a water-based silk screen. It's quite thick too. You can see it here on the meter scale. It's built up to be quite thick. Well, they need it to block all the light from behind. They only want the light to get through at certain spots. So that's what they're doing here. Then they got a reflective coating on this in the center. It's just painted on, it looks like. Some kind of a reflective coating to give it that mirror finish. Alright, we're all back together again. Went together with no drama. It was really nice to actually work on one of these. They are a pain to work on because, let me see if I can get this sitting on here properly. No, it doesn't want to share the board. Okay. They are kind of a pain because of the complicated front panel, and this lower piece goes on first, and there's 4 screws that have to go in from the back side, and they are a joy to put in. Plus you have to get these buttons just right, otherwise they won't work properly, and they jam up, and there's a little foam strip. There's a lot of things you got to keep your eye open for, but it's all back together, it's working. So let's have a little listen to how it sounds. And I need an antenna. Where is my antenna? Full disclaimer, I didn't do anything to the tuner whatsoever. I think the tuner's working great, AM and FM. I just left them alone, so let's try the AM first. It's picking up pretty good.
33 this afternoon. Tomorrow, cloudy, high of -24. The wind chill at -40 in the morning.
Getting a lot of interference here. I got all my gear on though. I got a scope going, got a signal generator. It's picking up stations from outside of my area. It's quite sensitive. That's about it. Okay, so yeah, it's controls are all functioning normal. Let's go through here and start from the beginning of the band.
De l'angoisse et puis de la maladie puis des conflits.
Still a little hiss, background hiss, but we need a proper antenna. So, balance, treble, bass, FM muting, subsonic, tone defeat, loudness, everything's working. Sounds pretty good. Just for an FM receiver, it sounds excellent. That's why I didn't really want to touch anything in the receiver end of it, because, or the tuner end of it, because I really didn't find that many bad capacitors. Here, I'll show you all the bad caps I found. What we got here, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 11 caps. And mostly it's these blue Panasonic caps that were failing. And I replaced 6 transistors just out of a preventative maintenance kind of thing, just so that in the future it won't go bad. So it's all ready to go. let's do a power test on this. I got it set up for auxiliary, so let's turn up our tone and shut off speakers 1. Turn on speaker 2. You should be able to see it on the scope. So let's get this set up. Okay. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this receiver has the same amplifier as the HK503, so it should put out 40 watts channel, I believe. I'm not sure. I never even looked. So let's go amp this up. Wow. We'll see what we get on this. Okay, there's clipping. Back it off a bit. Right about there. We're getting 20.80 volts RMS into 8 ohms. Just going to let this go for a while and warm up. See how it behaves. One thing I noticed is this transformer makes kind of a funny whine. It's not a hum from like 60 cycles. It's I don't know, it's a high-pitched whine. It's unusual. I've never heard that before. So this has been cooking for about, good 5-10 minutes anyways, and things are getting pretty hot back here in the load, and the heatsink is starting to heat up pretty good. So I think it's proven its point. Let's turn it on. Let's try square wave just to see how that fares up. We've got everything turned flat. Let's turn off the tone controls. And let's try this out. It's pretty good. There's no ringing, there's no, it's pretty flat. That is an awesome square wave for an amplifier. Yeah, it doesn't get any better than that. I'll tell you, that's incredible. Pretty nice amplifier in this thing. Okay, so I'm going to wrap that up there. Not much else to say. Forgot to mention we replaced the 4 power filter caps too, as well. And I think that's going to help a little bit with this thing. It's cooking along pretty good. I'm going to give this one a good listen to. I think it's going to be pleasing to hear. All right, then, that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in, and hope to see you on the next one. And I got more HK stuff coming up. I just got to get busy and crack at it. So let's talk to you later, and take care, and see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.